Thank you, Yellow Rosie. Um, there's always something to say, right? And there's always more to say because of everything that you experience, because there's so much that's happening at once, right? So every time that I share what it is I've experienced, it's actually already happened. So I'm not experiencing something new, right? So I was, Yellow Rose put up another video this morning, and I listened to about a third of it, and I stopped it because I reflect on what others communicate, particularly all the stuff that she put up from the very beginning about the lie NASA told and our allied forces, okay? And she made a very important statement. And for those that resonate with this simple sentence about what she said was retrieving your mind's energy, which is your soul's energy led by spirit, okay? A real living spirit that is in living light, which is what love is, okay? And why is that important? Well, you can observe everything that is in nature. And I went through this sort of self-acknowledgement myself throughout my life about the difference between all the others and what it is that I am and what I experience being what I am in energy, which is what love is. Okay? So she mentioned something that was very critical. And I've given this some long thought in the past about how eternally blessed I am for the fact that I knew, because I felt it in my heart and my soul, that my soul was running this equipment. And so the soul knows, because the spirit integrated with the soul, which is what love is, which is the light, which is real living light. You're acknowledging what you know that you are in energy, which is what love is. And then that allows you to measure everything else that you're experiencing within that environment that isn't what love is, which isn't what we are. Now you're making a distinction about who you are and the differences between all the others that don't experience what that is, right? But because it is a spiritual battlefield with a lot of high-tech magic involved, the tech is the magic, okay? And the manner in which consciousness is a formation of consciousness that you experience in a consciousness field. If you don't resonate, which means you're acknowledging, as I acknowledge within me, this is an illusion. What that's really saying, and this is what Rose made mention of, this is not your home. This is not your native world. I'm not supposed to be experiencing this because this is not a world, a spiritual world, or a spiritual realm that I normally experience as home. I experience wherever I go in living spirit with my soul what love is everywhere I go, which means I'm not experiencing anything less than what I am because I am what love is, so love is in everything that was created out of what love is, so that wherever love is, we are. That's who we are, the branch of mankind. Okay? So you know from whence you came as a branch directory, just like a directory in a phone book, an ISP directory. So you already know as a child by reading a newspaper, you're under attack because that's programming. They present who they are to us. And the sad truth of it is that people and children that were not awake at that early of an age, or at whatever point they realize that this is all nothing but a propaganda machine run by the enemy of our souls. So they may look like us, but they're not us in spirit, because spirit is in energy. Okay. So they're not the same spiritual energy that we are. The spiritual energy that we use to create our worlds with is what love is. And it's as pure as fire gets. That's called purified. So when you're purified, which is a pure blood, then you know who you are. Because you're experiencing the purity of your light, which means love does no harm. So when you have a gazillion beings that are here through their corporate military alliances, because corporate minds are of their own volition parasites, because they're always selling and wheeling and dealing through technology transfer. Plant an idea in somebody's head. Whoa, look what I can do with this. Now that particular technology might become a threat because it's going to be used to do what? Against another race. To control energy and acquire more resources, upon which becomes the basis of growing an empire with an emperor. Of more control over more batteries, over more energy. So they are energy wars, which makes them spiritual wars. So the simple question is how much fire is in that spirit, that is in that light, that can burn off what we need to discard that doesn't serve the whole pie, which is the all creation. So the law of one makes it really simple because it's the way that atoms normally work to be in a state of balance where they're experiencing being loved by the one. So when we are experiencing what love is, we are experiencing the one, the atoms, vibrating at a very high rate of speed. So now we remember from whence we came, which is our Creator. The Creator, which is what love is, that goes on forever, gifting energy is what I experience in me. So it's natural for us to give that energy away because it's a gift that flows through us that we share with others naturally. It comes naturally. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to pay for it. It comes at no charge. So they meter everything and then send a be ill as a result of that because they're inverted. So they invert everything. So the sad truth of it is when she was talking about, and I mentioned this before about waking up. See, because you don't want to lose anybody. You don't want to lose anybody on a spiritual battlefield. Our family, all our relatives. So everything that is what love is, when you realize that the energy that we are, which is what love is in everything, that includes everything. Which is trees, plants, fish, all the flora, all the fauna, everything that's in our mirrors. Because that's who we are. See? So when we're in a realm in which we're not doing any harm and we're sharing love everywhere we go, and I couldn't understand this as a child. If I'm trying to love you, why are you trying to kill me? Right? So you know that this isn't your home. So it's an energy war against the one. Yeah, so that means it's for our souls. The prize is the spirit. Now I know that we've heard about the soul being the prize. And while that is true to some degree, it is the spirit that is the real trophy. because it is the essence that gets consumed of that spirit. Because the spirit that is in the light, which is what love is the teacher. They kill off the teacher that is leading the soul. That's the real prize, because if you want to collapse a universe, a spiritual realm, to be converted or inverted, if you will, into a Death Star, then you kill off and consume the purified spirits of the teachers that are leading the souls that are experiencing what love is to the light. The purity of that light is the purity of the fire that is in that light, of how hot and how passionate and how much love and compassion we experience in us that we share with others without thinking about it, because it's not a thought. It's what we feel to our heart and soul at the closure of a magnetic moment, when that circuit is firing. So that means that we know who we are in spirit and in soul energy. So we can tell that across the planetary consciousness terrain, which is basically measuring the field on who's who, which means we're map reading the DNA, who the operator is of the software, and the energy identity, which is the core vibration of that particular being that is operating as an imprint into that software. The nature of that spirit that is in that energy. Yeah. It was just like when I was growing up as a child, and my mother would remark, "Oh, that little boy's got a demon in him," or her. It was always sort of measured amongst mothers in particular in the community. What is the nature of that spirit? And whether they wanted a bad, unclean spirit to be associating with their sons or their daughters, because they could read the energy, the spiritual energy that is operating as an entity in the software. That's called a map read of the DNA based on the branch, represented by the operator of that branch, the spiritual energy that represents that branch. Right? Predators, demons, seeking to feed on your energy because they're experiencing the purity of a small girl's little heart that's trying to experience and explore and be kind and loving and compassionate, because the parents from which they came are what love is. So anyway, I realized that, as I mentioned last couple of days, the vibrational speed of atoms is really kicked up, right? So I try and just keep it simple. You know, even though it is like I mentioned before, it's like observing a battlefield. It's like coming in after the war is over and then surveying the loss and experiencing the loss of all your children. And when you're experiencing eternal love through your own heart, you realize this isn't just us. I call them the expendables, because anything that's represented by a corporation, which is a hierarchy, and you got an emperor that sits at the top, you realize he's going to make sure that he's the last guy standing. That means everybody that works underneath him. So you could have a 4-star general, he's expendable. A 3-star general, he's expendable. A rear admiral, he's expendable. Everybody on the boat, everybody on the sub, they become expendable. See? Because that's the nature of a military hierarchy. It's command and control. That's called full spectrum dominance. See? So they don't start with what love is. Militaries are born out of fear as a result of trauma. Fractures the souls. So the universe is making a self-correction. The cosmos is making a cosmic level correction throughout all there is, the all creation. I know that because I experienced that. You may not experience that, but I experienced that. Because I get to communication to my heart and knowing what the truth is because I run on eternal love. That energy, which is what love is, which is real living light, is a communication system that I experience through my heart. Which means it's not an email, it's not a memo, it's not a text. It's not a billboard, it's not a TV program, it's not a newspaper. I feel it directly through my heart and my soul. That's the language of light. Have a great day. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you all of you that are here on behalf of the branch of mankind, the One and Eve and Mama, that we're putting a nice pink rainbow ribbon on this. Aloha.